Hey, Jim, I want to tell you, we're doing a thing.
Tell me about that thing. What thing's being done?
The thing that's being done, it's an all new membership type at Dojo University. It's called, wait for it, keep waiting. It's called the Leadership Club, Jim.
I want to be in that club.
You can be in that club. The Leadership Club is basically, and I hate these two words, Jim. I hate them, but I'm going to say them. It's a safe space for bagpipe band leaders like pipe majors, pipe sergeants, leading drummers, leading midsection people, possibly even drum majors, although don't get too excited yet, drum majors.
Doomed to be alone forever. The
No,
drum
not
major.
forever, but maybe for a few more months or something like that. We're working on the drum major thing. But anyway, it's a place for pipe band leaders to get together and learn and improve their craft and develop camaraderie with others and to be in touch with some of the world's very best pipe band leaders and stuff like that. It's a special membership inside of Dojo U just for them. But wait, there's more.
Tell me more about this.
Do you want to record your pipe band and send it in for verbal critique that you can do every single month as part of the leadership membership? Doesn't that sound cool?
That does seem useful, yeah.
Or special classes on just like logistics and how to run a band better.
And really, this sounds really like a great idea.
What about if you want to write harmonies for your band, but you're not quite sure what's not working about them and you want to get feedback on them?
Are you kidding me? Yes.
What about picking tunes for your band?
Heck yes.
What about figuring out ways to motivate people to actually show up to practice more?
Don't try to tell me you've cracked that code.
Yeah. Anyway, Jim, what would you be willing to pay for such a thing?
Billions.
Here's the thing. Leadership Club pricing. Let's get down to brass tacks. It's free, Jim.
No, wait. No, come on.
Yeah, it's a free. Now, it's not free, but it's free for anyone who has a Dojo U membership of some kind.
I was expecting there to be a premium price attached to this.
If you're a basic member, a premium member, or a drumming member at the Dojo, we have 3 membership types. But as long as you have an active membership, you can be admitted to the Leadership Club absolutely free. The club is just for you, just for leaders, and you can get in free as long as you're a member in some other way.
That's cool.
All you have to do. Step 1, sign up for a Dojo U membership. By the way, some of our membership have free trials. Just throwing it out there. But step 1, sign up for an individual membership. And then step 2, if you're a leader, you'll just scroll down when you log in and you'll see a big thing that says, hey, join the Leadership Club. All you have to do is fill out that form and you're in. It's an exciting thing that we're doing. If you're a pipe band leader, we want to see you in there. We want to help you. We want to do the thing. It's going to be so great. Sign up for the Leadership Club. Ready, set, go. We're back. And hopefully this is the last episode you'll be wearing the sunglasses. And it's not because your condition has carried on for many weeks. It's because we recorded all of these at the same day.
Yeah, just in case we've managed to fool anybody with our t-shirt changes, we actually do these in batches usually.
I mean, I don't even know. This could come out months from now.
Yeah, yep.
Oh man, Jim, isn't it so nice the weather's warming up?
Oh yeah, this summer's been awesome.
Man, it's been great.
I won every competition I played last week, actually.
Yeah, don't let the pastiness of my skin fool you. It's beautiful weather out. Yeah, exactly. So here we are, and we're trifectaing today.
Yeah, let's do the trifecta. There's only 2 of us doing the trifecta. This seems like it's not adding up, but oh well.
Yeah, trifectas are really in right now.
Yep, it's the season of the trifecta. This is what the kids are doing for
and
the
I don't
trifecta.
I don't know what that means.
It
looks like the Deathly. To me, it looks like the Deathly Hallows.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
There's the Elder Wand, Resurrection Stone, and the Cloak of Invisibility.
Yeah, look at that. 3, the trifecta.
All right. Thanks for tuning in today.
And that's how you blow steady, kids.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about the steady blowing trifecta.
Yeah, you put together like a mastering the steady blowing trifecta course and guide. And scrolling through the guide, I see you playing the bagpipes. I see a bow and arrow. I see a target. I see manometer. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. How do I make sense of this?
Okay, here's the deal. When we learn the bagpipes, we are instructed that our blowing should be fill in the blank.
Steady.
That's right. Our blowing should be steady, right? And so we work a lot as we learn the bagpipes on blowing fill in the blank. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, it's steady. Sorry, yes.
Steady. Yeah, we learn to blow steady. And then I suppose what naturally happens is it sounds like blowing steady is a single thing that we need to do.
Yeah, this one thing. Get it done, check the box, move on to your finger work.
And if you blow steady, you're good, which, by the way, is not untrue, but it's misleading. And where the trifecta comes from is my sort of personal discovery that blowing steady is not a single thing that you do. It's actually the combination of 3 things that you do. 3. Trifecta.
3. Got it. Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. So you might be wondering what the 3 things are.
Yes.
Yeah.
First one, because I've got the cheat sheet here.
Got it.
I can tell you just a little bit from what limited experience I've had teaching people directly. I think anybody else who's also taught people directly, when they transition to the bagpipes and they blow up that bag and they're having a hard time getting enough air in there, as someone who already plays the bagpipes, if you blow the bag up more full than you're currently getting it, right? If you get up to what you might call the sweet spot, it'll actually be easier.
Yeah.
So the learner has their arm too tight, and it's like their bag pressure is too low, and they're just struggling to keep up with it. Right.
Actually, Jim, can we talk about archery for a second?
Oh yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun there.
No, you didn't jump the gun.
Jumped the bow and arrow.
I want to talk about archery.
Let's talk archery.
This used to be a piping podcast. Now it's going to be a piping and archery podcast.
I'm here for it.
Now, if I were trying to teach you archery, right? Let's say you wanted to learn how to be an archer.
Who doesn't?
Which, by the way, I have know nothing about. This is a podcast where Andrew talks about things he actually knows nothing about. But I would assume that I would say, Jim, I want you to shoot this arrow perfectly accurately. Right?
And I'd say, okay. And like, doink.
Yep. So when you shoot the arrow, what I want you to focus on is shooting it perfectly accurately. Now, you can't shoot the arrow perfectly accurately unless what?
At what, right?
Exactly.
Give me a target. I need a target.
If I asked you to shoot it perfectly accurately, but I gave you no target, would you stay my archery student?
I think I'd go looking for another instructor.
Yeah, because obviously in order to know whether or not you shot it accurately, you would need some kind of target. Now, the target I'm picturing in my mind is one of those circle targets with a bullseye in the middle.
Sure, yeah.
And if you hit the bullseye with the arrow, you would say to yourself, aha, that was a pretty accurate bow and arrow shot.
Yeah.
This is pretty obvious. It doesn't have to be, though. It could be like one of those styrofoam deer. Or it could be any target, but you need one. Or let's play basketball, but there's no hoop.
There's no hoop at all, yeah.
Or let's play soccer with no goal. Yeah, so steady blowing, just like anything else, needs to have an actual objective. It needs to have a target. Okay, without the target, we cannot blow steadily. What would that target be?
Yeah, what's giving me feedback in this situation?
Yeah, what's giving you feedback is the quality of sound that you're getting out of your chanter reed. Okay, so the target is best possible sound out of your chanter reed. That's the target. So the first part of the trifecta is, we call it the sweet spot, but it's basically what pressure is optimal. Okay, we need to identify what that pressure is. That's the first part of the trifecta.
Okay? And that sound probably isn't when my chanter's barely squeaking into position.
And what you're illuminating here, Jim, is that your chanter reed offers a variety of ranges that you could potentially blow it at, right? And I have my practice chanter here, but if I blow at this pressure,
I don't know what that spot is, but it's not the sweet spot.
It's not sweet, is it? The sound is not sweet. This is where this word sweet spot comes from. So, but I could blow at that pressure, and I am making music come out. It's just not the sound I'm looking for. It's not sweet, right? And so if I blow harder on the reed, right? If I blow at that pressure, much sweeter. Agreed?
Much sweeter. Yeah, definitely.
And our job is to find the sweetest possible pressure out of the reed. Okay. And that would be, and by the way, we can go into more about that if we need to, but my point is, once we find the sweetest possible pressure of that reed, that pressure is where we want to blow steadily.
We want to live there.
If I blew perfectly steady at this pressure, would anyone care?
That's a good point. Like,
nope.
No, good job for you, I guess, for blowing perfectly steady, but like it's not hitting the middle of the target.
That's right. And when we learn the bagpipes, without the helpful tidbit that we need to blow all the way up to the optimal pressure, right? If we don't get that feedback and all we're told is to blow steady, when we first learn the bagpipes, we tend to blow. By the way, Jim is wincing. Yeah,
it's just my eyes. It's not what you're saying. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was what I was saying. And so we blow the pipes until just the point at which the chanter starts to make noise. And that's a great victory when you first get started. Okay. But that's probably, but we tend to just stay there and we don't explore those higher pressures. And so many of us learn to end up blowing way below the optimal sweet spot.
Yeah.
And we might even establish pretty steady blowing at that pressure. But the problem is the sound isn't good.
One thing that I do think is hard about this, Andrew, potentially, is that, at least for me, I feel like I've been to the sweet spot enough times that I know what I'm going for, but it took a long time to find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, my instructor could tell me about this, but until I have experienced the not sweet spot and the sweet spot, I don't really know where it is. It's something that you got to, at least in my experience, you got to do it to actually be able to figure out where that's at. You know what I mean?
Yes, right. You are, Jim.
That was just my participation in the conversation.
Right, you are, Jim. Yeah, I suppose. You're inevitably going to explore different things, right?
Yeah.
The sweet spot is, by the way, an exact reflection of what we would call the intensity equation. Okay? So where the sweet spot actually lies, it's actually the maximum pressure you can blow through your reed.
Without
sacrificing form, right?
Yeah.
So it's the maximum pressure you can put through your reed before it starts to sound icky and or squeaky.
Yeah, I don't know if other people think of it this way, but for me personally, I feel like there's the top cutoff is where the chanter stops working. Bottom cutoff is where it's just barely gurgling. There's a perfect middle point there that's okay, but the sweet spot is right here. Right above okay and under the cutoff. But okay, you tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead, Andrew. You're the expert, so that's okay.
By the way, this is a common, complete misinterpretation of the sweet spot. So thank you. So the chanter reed never stops working on the pipes. Have you ever noticed that? It keeps working. It's not like a drone reed. It's not going to shut off. Is it?
How strong are you?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not strong enough. But the chanter reed does not shut off. Or if it does, it's at a way high pressure. What is the chanter reed more likely to do? Okay. As you start to blow harder and harder, it's going to squeak. It's going to gurgle. It's going to squeal. It's going to do weird overtones, right?
Yeah.
And where the sweet spot is the exact pressure before any of that stuff starts to happen. That is the sweet spot.
So where I was saying, you'd say, push it a little more, keep going.
It's always, right? And as a matter of fact, as I'm playing, in the ideal world, I am hearing hints of unwanted sounds on a regular basis, because a good blower will always be testing the upper limit of what they can get away with before unwanted sounds start to happen. And by the way, unwanted sounds for an expert piper are going to be way more subtle than squeaks, right? It's going to be like, ooh, is it like, for me, I feel it's starting to sound a little tiny bit overloaded. And that's how I know I've pushed the envelope too much. Yeah.
My musical experience isn't wide enough to speak to this really confidently, but I have this feeling that it's similar with other instruments too. Like with flute playing, with saxophone playing, it's like there's something special about a player who can get right on the edge. And and it's if you go too far, well, then that's not special anymore. But get right on the edge of that, the extreme of what the reed or the airflow, whatever it is, can handle. Strings as well come to mind too.
Exactly. And then over time you develop a feel for what makes good tone, and that's a huge part of the process. So that's trifecta number A. Trifecta number 1.
No, I like trifecta number A. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, trifecta number A. By the way, you can check out our dojo course on that. It's one of our success plans, or you can do any one of our courses where we use the manometer, the watery thing.
Oh, yeah.
To get us started identifying the sweet spot. Yeah, and the manometer can be really handy. Some people find the manometer to be really not fun. Some people find it to be really annoying. You don't need a manometer to find a sweet spot and learn, but it can be helpful, and it can help illustrate concepts and jumpstart things. So you could try a manometer, but more and more I teach without it.
By the way, my Windex seems to have really evaporated a lot.
Yeah, the Windex does evaporate. You're going to need that funnel close by.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's trifecta number A, okay?
Yes.
Now, trifecta number B is what we usually think steady blowing is, which is blowing, squeezing, and transitions. And we call this physical steady blowing.
Yeah, all the physical stuff that goes into it. I got you, yeah.
So we have blowing and we have squeezing, okay? So you blow into the bag, right? We all kind of know this, but let's review. You blow into the bag, and then when you need more air, you breathe in. And while you're breathing in, your arm can squeeze the bag to keep the pressure, fill in the blank.
Steady.
And then when you're ready to blow again, you can blow in again. And that's all it is, right?
I mean, it'd be nice if it was that. I mean, in a lot of ways, it is that simple, but it sure feels less simple than that once you start doing it, because it starts going,
right. So the complicating factor is you can't just blow. And by the way, don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. And we all have. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you've experienced this. is that it's not that simple. You can't just switch from blowing to squeezing. It's much more difficult than that. And by the way, when I first learned how to drive a stick, it's the same. You can't just go from 0 to first gear.
Yeah.
Right? Instead, you have to transition between clutch and accelerator.
Yeah.
And there's a crossfade that has to happen. And we call those transitions. So not only is there blowing and squeezing we have to do, but we also have to transition. And there's 2 types of transitions, by the way. One transition is from blow to squeeze, and the other transition is from squeeze to blow. And those are 2 different things, but we need to be able to smoothly transition between the 2 in order to achieve physical steady blowing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, at what pressure do we do that? It has to be at the sweet spot. No one cares if you can perfectly transition when your reed is sounding super nasty and not pleasant, right? So sweet spot comes first. As a matter of fact, of the 3 of numbers A, B, and C in the trifecta, the most important is aiming for that sweet spot, right? Because what's going to be the natural byproduct of always aiming for the sweet spot?
I guess everything else will kind of, to some degree, self-correct. You're gonna hone in on it.
That's right. So number A is the most important because the natural byproduct of always shooting for that one singular bullseye will be steady blowing. Okay. But then we can break down steady blowing into the 2 components. We have physical steady blowing, which is the blowing and the squeezing and the transitions. And then there's the third, there's number C.
This is the hardest one for me personally.
Everybody. It's the hardest for me too. Let's set this up. Have you ever played high A and surged on the blowing?
Have I ever not surged is maybe a better question.
Yeah.
I think I'm always going up on the high A.
Or have you ever gotten to the end of a part and taken a blowing vacation?
Totally, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, thank God we made it to the end. We got the long low A and the burl. I can finally take a break. And then the pressure goes, and then comes back up again. Have you ever gotten to a difficult passage in a tune and blown too hard?
Yeah, definitely.
Or forgotten to blow altogether.
That one doesn't happen to me as often. I think I tend to be more of a through the hard part kind of guy. Yeah.
Exactly. And we call these blowing anomalies. Okay. And a blowing anomaly is something going on in your life that's causing you to be unable to blow steadily. Maybe it's just taking so much bandwidth that you're not able to do what you need to do. But the surge on the high A, I think that's just a psychological reaction. My hypothesis is actually that it comes from gripping the chanter hard, right? And then when you have to let go of the chanter with the left hand and you don't have the grip with the thumb anymore, you kind of have that reaction like you're falling.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I think some people say it's because a high A takes more air and stuff like that. I don't buy those arguments at all. I think you have that feeling of like desperation, like you no longer have control and you kind of spaz a little bit.
That seems like a solid explanation. I hadn't thought of that before. I know that for me personally, I felt like it was partly because I came to bagpipes after having played other wind instruments.
Yeah.
Especially brass instruments that call for increased pressure as you get higher and higher.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And that's the real challenge, like the big challenge for me, for my arm and for my diaphragm for blowing and everything, even now with bagpipes, is remembering to stay steady, to keep it all the same, to not react to where I am on the scale with adjustments to pressure.
Yes. Well, I tuned out a long time ago, all that stuff. It doesn't really matter, okay? It's fun to conjecture and speculate on these things, but it doesn't really matter. We need to keep it steady regardless of what our fingers are doing. By the way, other blowing anomalies include, but are not limited to, have you ever thought to yourself as the drone tuner comes around, oh, here comes the drone, comes the drone tuner.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I blow extra good right now. That's another one you want to avoid. Or have you ever been tuned up by the pipe major and found yourself really nervous?
Yep.
Yeah. So we want to avoid those too. But for the most part, blowing anomalies are caused by things that we're doing with our fingers.
But Andrew, I even do that with the digital tuner, and this will make you laugh or something, right?
It won't surprise me though.
When it's in front of me, right? And I'm trying to get to, I'm using the bra app, right? So I'm trying to get the little dot to center.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all using the bra?
My brain, nice. My brain
it's
starts.
Like a bra. Is it because it's like a sort of equivalent of a bra, but for men?
Bro.
A
the man's ear.
Nice. A man's ear. The man's ear.
Seinfeld. I got to give credit to Seinfeld there.
No, but, look, by the way, I'm having a joke at the bra tuner's expense. But look, that app is legit.
It is. Yeah, it's a cool app.
It's pretty darn cool. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to play with it. I'm just worried I'll get caught and then people will think I'm a fraud. Right. No, but I've seen people use it, and it's a really cool app, very cleverly done. And we talked about the dangers of digital tuners, and in my opinion, and everything in another episode. But yeah, anyway, so you got your man's ear tuner.
Yeah, it takes a lot of focus for me to not look at that dot moving left to right from flat to sharp, and adjust my blowing and pressure to make it go to the middle.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So usually what I have to do is I have to set it aside and tell it to start listening to me, and then look somewhere else. Close my eyes, right?
That's a genius. Yeah, that's a genius feature of that tuner, where it's like, hey, just play. And then I'll give you feedback, which is really nice, right? There's that personal psychological response to holding up a tuner in front of you, and it's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another reason that digital tuners aren't usually the greatest.
So that's another mental blowing anomaly, right? Because it's something I'm seeing the tuner in front of me, and so it's something in my head is making me go, ooh, change my pressure, right?
Yes.
So that's letter C of the trifecta, is these mental blowing anomalies.
Yeah, and they happen all over the place, and they're very difficult to get rid of. So I think I would encourage people to, when they play, here's a great thing you can do if you do have a little water manometer. It's not going to work on the gauge style, but on the water manometer, one of the best exercises you can do is get your pipe set up well, get things going, plug that manometer in, then record yourself playing, but without you looking at the manometer as you play.
I did that.
You can tell us how it went, Jim.
It was so depressing.
Yeah.
It gave me very honest feedback. So in that way it was good, but my goodness, I didn't think I was this rock steadiest player in the world, but I wasn't prepared for how not steady I am.
Yes. No. And by the way, when I do it, as long as everything's set up well, I'm very good.
I believe it.
But the reason I bring that up isn't only to toot my own horn, so to speak.
As it were. Yeah.
But it's also to say that it's very possible to play with almost complete steadiness. So my steadiness is usually kind of within half an inch. And my water never moves more than half an inch on the manometer. What was yours moving, Jim? Like 7 inches at a time?
I mean, maybe 4 or 5, but still a lot.
Too much, right? Yeah. Let's get it down to within an inch. And then where do the big spikes happen? You can find really strong correlations, and that'll give you clues. What tends to happen is you get to those high hand parts, and you tend to underblow generally, but then have those big panic moments on the high A's. That tends to be something students do a lot. So it's like, oh, in the second part, my blowing pressure is going way down and I have big surges. Well, now you have something specific and tangible you can work on for the next couple of practice sessions, and then see if you can spot an improvement. So that could be really good. Here's a couple of tips. Going back to number B, when you're practicing physical steady blowing, okay, you can evaluate it with the manometer. That can help, or you can just evaluate with your ears. I've even seen people use a tuner to evaluate with the needle moving. Okay. But what's the thing that you absolutely must not do in order to properly evaluate your physical blowing skills, your blowing, your squeezing, and your transitions? Jim, go ahead and tell us.
The thing you must not do.
The one thing.
The one thing you must not do is think too hard about it while you're playing.
Nope. Okay, so with physical blowing, the number one thing you must do to test the quality of your physical blowing is to not move your fingers.
Oh, I see.
Right? Physical blowing is something that can be easily tainted by something you're doing with your fingers. Like we already talked about the high A or the D throw causing your blowing to be weird. I did a workshop. I've done many workshops, but this one I actually recorded. Someone recorded me doing it. But the famous moment is he got low A going. It was the pipe sergeant of a grade 2 band. Very good piper. Very good. we got the low A going, we got the pipes tuned up, and he was blowing very steadily. And then I said, and it was a big aha moment for the crowd, Jim. I can just picture it now. Okay, I'm done picturing it. And I said, okay, now play low G, which, as most of us will know, it's just moving one pinky from low A down to low G. What happened to the steadiness that we were witnessing on the manometer the moment he just moved his pinky 1 inch down to cover the hole?
Did it go?
It went all over the place for several seconds,
so
right?
Just one thing can, even a really simple thing that takes our focus away, can throw it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the entire point. So when you're practicing physical blowing steadiness, just play low A or some other note. Doesn't really matter as long as your fingers are not moving, because the moment they move, any data you get might be coming from mental blowing anomalies, or that's what we call them, mental blowing anomalies, when something we're doing with our fingers is changing the steadiness of the instrument. So we got 3 things, A, B, and C. Any questions?
Man, it just makes me want to get up my pipes and play, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, hopefully folks who haven't heard this before will listen to that and think, aha, okay, that gives me 3 really interesting places to look when it comes to developing my steadiness. And you can apply your own thought process to it, or you can check out one of our dojo courses like Transition to the Bagpipes. We have a quick steady blowing trifecta course that's pretty affordable. If you just go to pipersdojo.com, you'll see it there. It's all there. It's all happening. Shall we leave it there?
Yeah, let's leave it there. Sounds good.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Andrew Douglas here from the Pipers Dojo, and I just want to say thanks so much for listening to today's iteration of the podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard here today, it would be super helpful to us and to a lot of bagpipers out there trying to find us if you could give us a top-notch review on whatever platform you're using to listen to this podcast, particularly Apple, iTunes, and Spotify and things like that. Your review would be really, really helpful. So if you have a moment today, definitely go over there and help us out. Other than that, until we meet again on the podcast or somewhere else, thanks again for listening.